Welcome into the Sources Say podcast, your go-to Kentucky basketball podcast on the KSR Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jack Pilgrim of Kentucky Sports Radio. Very excited to be joined, again, kind of the exact same script as last week, and it worked, so we're going to recreate this magic. Stephen Peake joining us, hopefully right before an ass-kicking, because we did this last time. You joined us for the first couple of minutes, and then it led to a 48-point win. So we just doing whatever, just repeating the exact same thing going into the old Dirty Birds matchup on Tuesday.
Trying to keep that energy alive. Last night I just felt like I got 3 hours of sleep. So I'm trying to get through this after that big football win. But man, what a week it could be for Kentucky fans finally getting that home SEC win last night. And then if you can go into the Yum Center and beat what I think is the best Louisville team that they've played since before COVID, which I think that's obvious, really. But this is I'm interested to talk about this game. Living in Louisville, Jack, you grew up in Louisville. You know what this game means. And I want this one bad. And I know Louisville fans, they feel like this is the first time in, half a decade that they think that they can actually beat Kentucky.
And so much of it, Stephen, is just a level of apathy that we have just kind of grown to accept from their side, that going into this matchup, it just has not had the same level of juice. Last year had some of it because there was the freshness with both kind of, the new eras for both programs, them getting away from that absolute dumpster fire that was Kenny Payne, and then us kind of just getting the lay of the land with this new era where we knew Pope was probably going to be good. Last year was a December matchup, so we'd already kind of racked up a couple of big-time wins and felt pretty good about the trajectory, but this is obviously a different game than anything else. So we felt some of it last year, but now that we know that this is two legitimate top 15 teams, two teams that should be able to compete for Final Fours this season in Indianapolis, we might see them in Indianapolis at the Final Four. So there's just something different about this one in particular, and I am very, very excited to dig into this one, Stephen.
They have been, the Louisville fan base, have been deprived of winning basketball for so long. They reek of deprivation. They want this so bad. This is for them, I think, the litmus test for are we back? Like, they won't feel like they're truly back until they beat Kentucky again, which doesn't happen. Like, it just they do that beat UK chant every year, and I've seen them actually beat UK 3 times since the Obama administration. Kentucky is 15-3 since 2009 against Louisville.
Whoa,
those 3 wins, Jack. You had the 3-point win in 2012. That doesn't count according to NCAA records. So True. That's actually, I think, a win for Kentucky. So that's 16-2 technically according to NCAA records. Then they beat Kentucky in 2017. That was the most disappointing. By 3 points, I think. And then they won by, 1 or 2 in that COVID game. I barely even paid attention to it. I was on a plane. I know you're not supposed to do that during COVID, but I was on a plane watching that game and didn't even see the last shot that Olivier Sarr took. So really, what is that?
He missed it, by the way, because that's just kind of what he did for game winners.
Kind of what happened that year, right? Yeah. Olivier Sarr missing potential game winners. But yeah, that's a combined 7 points. Whatever that final score was in 2020. So Kentucky has dominated this series. They have owned Louisville, and their fans are really tired of it. They are tired of not even really being competitive in this game. Last year was a lot closer, but I never felt in that game that Kentucky was going to lose. So this hasn't even been a contest since the world shut down.
Wow. Yeah, it's fascinating when you put it that way. But to get to that point, a 107-59 absolute just beat down, curb stomping of poor Valpo. My goodness, in the BBN United Tip-Off Classic presented by Kentucky Tourism. We were worried about the point differential. We were worried about, controlling your own destiny, not, getting too high for this absolute juggernaut of an event. And, they came out, they came, they saw, they conquered. So thrilled with the response after a ho-hum up and down debut against Nichols. There was some good, a lot of good defensively in the first half against Nichols, and then kind of figured things out in the second half. This one, all questions that you were kind of one of the main people that asked us, give me something to feel good about this still being a national championship team after such an underwhelming performance against Nichols. And I think every single question that you had about the shooting, about go down the list of all of the things, and they answered basically all of it, with six different players finishing in double figures, getting that shooting percentage up 39% overall. You got Jasper hitting 3 threes, Colin Chandler hitting 4 threes, but just a well-rounded, all-around ass whooping against Valpo to set the stage for this Tuesday matchup against Louisville.
Well, it sets the stage, Jack, for the final round. The
there we
BBN
go.
United Tip-Off Classic presented by Kentucky Tourism. That graphic's wrong. I need to update that. Somebody pointed this out. Sorry, I'm dumb. I have to remind people sometimes I'm dumb. And obviously with the point differential, Kentucky has to avoid a 35-point loss to EIU to win the BBN United Tip-Off Classic presented by Kentucky Tourism. What I loved, Jack, was what worried me in the first game without Jalen Lowe was obviously three-point shooting. You just mentioned that. Colin Chandler getting set shots. That kid, if you go back to March, he is in Travis Ford territory with his three-point shooting. It's something. It's not well over 50%, but it is over 50% from three since March. Do you think that dunk he had, you get on SportsCenter's top play, SportsCenter's number one play, does that do something for his confidence? Because that's something we talked about last year, was his confidence, getting acclimated. This is the being away from basketball for as long as he was and coming in and playing at Kentucky where the lights are the brightest. And he did struggle a little bit. He was forced, just like in that first game, like last year, he was forced to play a role that he wasn't too comfortable with. But, man, I really like him at the 2 right now.
He was brilliant. Like he was unbelievable, and I think I cared more about it being a fast start and building upon what was working for him at the tail end of that Nichols game. It would be for him to come out and hit several shots in a row to get rolling and kind of set the stage for everything else and keep the momentum where, we were so concerned about the cold start against Nichols and how you're just like, hey, the ball movement stinks and, the shots are selfish shots and there's so many things that you just didn't love, and you felt, hey, how much can get fixed just by simply adding playmakers to the lineup to create those shots for their teammates. And we saw that right away with Denzel kind of setting the tone in distributing and being the playmaker, and then Colin just being the guy like, hey, you're getting the shots, what are you going to do with them? And like you said, he nailed all of them and allowed everything else to fall into place. And then Jalen makes his debut, and there was just an it factor with Jalen that you kind of just know when you know. When a guy walks onto the floor, like he went 2 for 7 from the field. I don't care about what his box score looked like. He passed the eye test in every possible way. Moving the ball, the pace that he brought, the attention that he brought from defenders, allowing everything else to he's a gravity guy. He really is, and I thought he was. He set the tone for the rest of the game and allowed everything else to fall into place. And I thought he was terrific. And if that's going to be kind of the vibe of what we're going to have until Jaden Quaintance comes back, I think Kentucky's going to win by 48 points more often than you realize. I think these types of beatdowns are very, very possible essentially every single time out, obviously depending on the competition.
Do it Tuesday. Oh, my gosh, I love it.
Comfortable wins, I think we're going to see stack up pretty regularly.
Well, you talked about JQ coming back, and until he does, man, it's hard not to be impressed with Malachi Moreno. I mean, I knew he was going to be good. I didn't think he'd be this good, this fast. Already a double-double. Jack, I mean, I want JQ to play. I want him.
He's going to play. He's going to play. There's no want. There is, yeah.
But man, does it feel good to have? I mean, Brandon played well, And I know it's Valpo and whatever. Malachi, literally in that Purdue game, it was when I was like, oh, Malachi, he's going to be able to play. I was concerned about how we were going to handle things until JQ got back. Dude, I'm comfortable with Malachi. Do you feel the same way?
It's going to be really tough for Mark Pope. I really wonder, if he realized this would be a problem for him when the year started, like when he built this roster, did he just kind of in his mind say, well, Brandon's obviously going to slip into the Amari Williams role until Jaden Quaintance is ready, and then it's going to be we're going to stagger those minutes, and then hey, whenever foul trouble, whatever, Malachi is just going to be kind of the next guy up. Like that had to have been how Pope saw it unfolding. No matter how high he was on Malachi and thinking that he could be a star now, later down the road, whatever. Like you just kind of thought that everything would kind of work itself out. With BG kind of being the guy, and then you just kind of hear all the speculation of throughout the summer of like, hey, Malachi's not just like holding his own. And I saw it at Colorado, out in Colorado Springs at USA training camp. He was unbelievable. He was beating all of the guys that were currently in college, like Morris Johnson at Michigan. He was head to head with him, and he's a sophomore this season playing at Michigan. So I saw him doing his thing against high-level competition and going, oh, all right, and Daniel Jacobson, we talked about it on the show, playing for Purdue. He was just eating his lunch, like dominating every single time out. And had he not hurt his hip, he was going to Switzerland. He was going to win a gold medal with his team. So that led to continued whispers and buzz about Malachi separating himself in practice and saying like, hey, BG needs to kind of watch his back because he's coming for minutes. This is not going to be just a shoe-in for 25-plus minutes for BG waiting until Jaden Quaintance comes back. Like, Malachi is going to eat into those minutes if he's not careful, and we're seeing that. And I think it's a great luxury to have because you're going to need there's going to be a game that you're going to need. It might be Louisville on Tuesday. You're going to need Brandon Garrison's energy. You're going to need his intensity. You're going to need the extra chaos that comes with Brandon Garrison sometime sooner rather than later. Probably on Tuesday. But then there are also going to be times that you just need a stable presence in the front court where you just need a guy who's going to go give you a quick 8 and 8. Just give me rebound the ball, defend, hold your own, don't get pushed around, don't get bullied. And that's Malachi. And then you kind of have the mix of both with Jaden, who has the superstar upside, but also just a ridiculous big, all Big 12 defensive player of the year floor that we already saw him be as a teenager. So it's difficult for Pope, but I think I would rather have this issue than kind of where we were with the Ugana Onyenso, Aaron Bradshaw, Big Z front court, where you're like, hey, we need one of you guys to step up, and nobody was willing to on a night in, night out basis. So yes, Malachi is him. He is the guy. And we'll see. How do you see it shaking out? Who wins the front court battle? Who are we talking about as the main rotation guys once we get to, say, just start SEC play?
Well, I mean, I think if JQ is playing, I have to imagine that he's going to be the guy, right? But could you play him at the 4 and play BG at the 5, play Malachi at the 5, or? But
then what do you do with Mo? But then what do you do with Ortega? Then what do you do with Denzel? Then what do you do with Jalen? There is a domino effect here that, like, yes, on paper, you would want all of your best players on the floor together. Whatever that looks like, just play them together. But when you have 7 of those guys, you can only play 5 at a time. And I think that was the value. Again, I mentioned this on the show several times, mentioned it on the Rapid Reaction several times. But there was another moment where I look up at the scoreboard and Kentucky is beating the everlasting piss out of Valpo. And then I look at the scorers table and it's Jalen Lowe, Denzel Aberdeen. And you're like, whoa. The waves just keep coming, and it's the same vibe. It's the same exact vibe that we felt back in 2014-15 without just the full hockey sub. It's
I love that
3 or 4 at a time.
When I saw you tweet that out, I was like, man, that is very 2014-15ish. Just seeing like 4 bodies about ready to check in, and I think
good bodies. It wasn't like here's. Right. I don't even want to pick any of the other bottom tier rotation guys, but it was the guys. Jalen Lowe is kind of, hey, if you can have that lead and then have Jalen Lowe checking into the game, who cares about who the other guys are? I mean, that's your co-star next to Otega Owe checking into the game with your team up 100,
Yeah, and I don't know if I know I said earlier you could possibly play JQ alongside one of the other bigs, and I just don't know like if you want to play two bigs like that, because there's even lineups you can do with like Mo Diabate playing the 5 and go small ball with like Andrea at the 4. I still don't think we've seen anywhere close to what Andrea is capable of doing. And it's interesting, Jack. I watched him and Cam Williams warming up. Specifically, you and I were standing right there, and I told you, man, I love Cam Williams' shot. I love the form. He hit. I mean, of course, it's warm-ups. He makes everything. But, damn, he's getting wide-open looks in the games. They're going to start falling. It'd be great for him to find that touch on Tuesday. Same with Andrea, because I like his shot too. It's a little bit of a line drive, but when you're 6'11", that's probably going to happen. I think that's when you start going down the lineup, and like I just did in real time here, as you're mentioning all the other guys who can play the 4 and the 5, and I'm like, oh yeah, there's also Andrei Yelovich, and I think he's somebody who, you said in our predictions that you see him having a big year, one where he might even fight for a starting spot at some point. I think we have not even scratched the surface on what he's capable of, and I definitely don't think Cam Williams is going to shoot like this. I think he's going once he sees a couple threes go in, that confidence will come back, and maybe he's one of those guys too who will just play better away from Rupp Arena.
Yeah, potentially. And going back to Yelovich, not even his best day was a 7.5 rebound, 1 assist game in 20 minutes. Like he's finding himself in the right spots and catching and shooting the right threes, and they're just not falling. And we have seen him, as you said, in warm-ups. I mean, it's make. So you'd think that, like with Cam, once he just kind of gets his footing and it's not even like he plays with real confidence. He plays with a poise to him that is very polished and savvy. As he plays like a vet. Again, there's a reason he's 22 years old, even as just a sophomore. But he plays beyond his years in college basketball. But whenever he shoots, it almost kind of feels like I'm surprised I'm getting the ball right now, and it's not a confidence thing. It's more of a comfort thing that I wonder when he gets within the system. That catch and shoot from the left corner, or right corner, I thought was exactly kind of the vision we had for him. That was a confident, comfortable, within in stride shot that I think we're going to see a lot of from him as the year goes on, and just kind of finding comfort and finding his own footing in the system. But I mean, for that to be kind of just a game for him, a 7-5 performance in 20 minutes, got to figure out Cam, though. Cam is going to be one that, the fact that you're getting 0 from him right now and still winning by 48 points and all that, and he was seen by some as a, potential one-and-done guy in Lexington, like that kind of has you thinking you're playing with house money with him at this stage. Like what happens if he goes out and gives you 20 on any given night? Yeah, that's a total back pocket thing that you haven't even accounted for in terms of what your day-by-day expectation is. You expect Otega to do his thing. You expect, the box score kind of reflects right now our confidence in all of these guys. You expect Otega to go for 15, Denzel 12, Colin maybe a little better than we anticipated, but, we expected a breakout from him. Brandon Garrison, Mo Diabate, they're all playing within themselves outside of Cam Williams. So if he's able to kind of add a little extra juice to it, you could get really, really, really carried away very quickly with this team.
It could get scary on how you guard Kentucky. I mean, he shot over 41% at Tulane last season, on a pretty decently high volume. He shot, I think it was close to 5 3-pointers a game. Mm-hmm. So he's making like 2 a game. And that I think the shots are going to start falling for him. He's going to continue to get good looks. And he's just got to get comfortable. There we go.
And I appreciate that he was still rebounding hard, 4 rebounds, and he blocked a shot, and he was trying to do some other things to get him going and himself going in other ways. And like it would be easy for him to sulk and pout and, hey, all my other friends are having fun and I'm not. It would be easy for him to see the rut that he's in and go, well, I guess it's just not my year. I guess Jasper's taken, he took my spot. I guess, go down the list. Colin Chandler, we were kind of going head to head on who would emerge in that off guard role. And I guess it's not going to be me. It'd be easy for him to kind of pick and choose his battles there. And he's saying, no, I'm going to go give you the energy and intensity and impact winning in other ways until I can get my shot to fall. So he's not a total liability when he's out there. It's not 15 and cardio minutes. He went out there and contributed in other ways, even though his shot wasn't falling, and that's going to be the only way to keep him in. We'll see what happens when Trent Noah likely plays on Tuesday against Louisville.
Yeah, I mean,
and
another guy that could knock down from three. Yeah.
As you talk about that role, that off-ball wing role, who emerges, Trent has to make his shots too. He hasn't made shots, so there are a lot of those guys that, as well as Kentucky's performing in other areas, you gotta, hope somebody emerges. And I think Jasper right now has kind of been the guy that he was a house money guy to start the year, and he's kind of outperforming his initial expectations. 9 points, 3 of 4 shooting from three, but he was 5 assists as well. I mean, tied for a team high with Jalen Lowe. I thought he was terrific in that regard as well. So Jasper playing very, very well. Depth showing very at the perfect time going into a matchup that we're going to need every single possible thing you could throw at the Cards to leave the Yum Center with a win in that one.
Yeah, I can't wait, man. This used to be when I was growing up and when I was in high school and when I was in college, this was the game I circled on the schedule. I know that that's not true for every Kentucky fan. It's very geographical. I grew up in Jefferson County. Half my friends are Louisville fans. I have Louisville fans in my family, and I don't want them to be happy. I just don't want them to enjoy their lives, Jack. Not during these months, at least, and especially not at the expense of the Kentucky Wildcats. There's a lot of Kentucky fans who've taken the stance that it's just another game. It's a November game. It doesn't really matter. And that is partially true. I mean, you obviously can lose this game and win the national title. Kentucky did that in 97, 98. And it is just a November game. It's your first road game. How many times, Jack, does Kentucky go out and lose their first road game of the season? It's hard to win on the road in college basketball, especially in an environment that is going to be as intense as any that they will play in all year. This is going to probably be, if not the toughest environment, just the most intense, the most passionate. This is going to be really crazy. I don't think that even I am prepared for what this game is going to be because of what it means to Louisville fans. They want this so bad. When you are a Louisville player, and this is why you're seeing them trash talk. This is why you hear the Beat UK chants. Because if you live in Louisville and you're a Louisville fan, you still have to hear about Kentucky all the time. The local media covers Kentucky. The radio is talking about Kentucky. The newspapers are talking about Kentucky. Your coworkers, your classmates, your friends are talking about Kentucky. And that trickles all the way down into the players. They just get so tired of hearing about how good Kentucky is and how they're the greatest tradition in college basketball and how they have to deal with all of the Kentucky fans. Because let's be honest, Jack, we can be kind of obnoxious. We kind of take pride in that. That's why this game means so much to them, because in Lexington, you don't get Louisville coverage. The local Lexington media is not driving to Louisville to cover Louisville games the way that the Louisville media is driving to Lexington. That's why I feel like Louisville players go into this game just so tense. I know they did with Rick Pitino because it mattered to him so much. But I think they put so much emphasis on this that they are not loose. They just want it so bad. Whereas the Kentucky players, who are usually better anyway, are going to that game loose, and it's just seeing it as like, yeah, it's a road game, big game. You know, they're a Power 4 team this year. They're a top 15 team. But they're not going into it with we have to win. We have to beat this team. This is the one game. For me, as a fan, I feel that because I'm right here in ground zero of this this impactful rivalry. So I'm excited. I've been to the Yum Center for this game now 3 times, and the last time it was actually any good, I think it was like 2018-19 year, and it was intense. And I cannot wait to get into that building and see what it's like, and see how much blue gets in, because there's still going to be a lot of Kentucky fans there.
Yeah, and speaking of which, you can go use our friends at SeatGeek and make sure you fill the Yum Center with however much blue we can. Again, there's going to be a lot of red, although their attendance has been so bad as of late, which I don't understand. I don't know how you can finally, you can go through what you have gone through as a Louisville fan and see this product and see this coaching, good coaching, and see this talent, good talent, and not want to just be like, hey, I want to pour every dollar I have into this program right now because they're finally giving me something worth watching. I don't know how it's taken Pat Kelsey going from lunch table to lunch table, the student center, to fill that building. Like, they deserve better. But if the opportunity presents itself for Kentucky to get in there and use our friends at SeatGeek using promo code KSR10. Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now. If you have them ready to go.
Yeah. Here you
go for it.
This just kind of shows how big this game is. This is an arena that when's the last time they sold this thing out?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
They built an arena that was too big for their fan base. And I don't think they're going to have any issue selling it out on Tuesday, with the help, of course, of the Big Blue Nation. But several seats going for over $1,000.
But hey, if you want to get one of those seats for $1,000, use promo code KSR10 for 10% off your next SeatGeek order. Restrictions apply, max $20 discount using our friends at SeatGeek. But yeah, I would love for BBN to join us and fill that place. I'm going to obnoxiously wear my blue. I haven't picked what I'm going to wear exactly yet, but I'm going to do. Do you think that there is a chance, Steven, that I get something thrown at me, or like Drew get punched?
Yes.
Get punched inside the Yum Center? Is that a possibility?
That is absolutely a possibility. In fact, I'll be disappointed if it doesn't happen. No, I think I don't want anyone to hit Jack.
I'd prefer not to, but
hey, just make sure we get it on video. It always makes for good content when a Louisville fan acts out like that. Drew said last night when I asked him, "Are you coming in for this game?" and he said, I avoided going there because I just, you get the threats and you don't think anyone will act on it. And he said, so I decided to check out the TBT game, and of course he gets punched at the end of that game. So he's like, I will not be making any more trips to the Yum Center, Freedom Hall, wherever Louisville is playing a basketball or football game. So there's a very real possibility. And the last time we were there, they had bags over their heads. They were shamed. They didn't even want to be there, it felt like, and they were just there so that a Kentucky fan didn't occupy the seat, and there was no hope. And therefore, there wasn't a whole lot of banter. I don't expect that this time. I don't think they want to see any KSR people rolling into their arena. I don't think they're going to be happy about it.
They sure don't. I'm happy to see Shawn Smith join us and roll into this arena right now. I believe he's ready to join us. Shawn, what's up, buddy? How are you? Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday, and of course you're going to get something thrown at you, especially after Kentucky wins. So I would be expecting it, Jack.
Do I need to change it? If this trends the way it could, do I need to change at halftime? Before we go outside and do our rapid reaction, we may be able to go stay inside because we're not at the Rep Arena. But do I change? Do I have to disguise myself, wear something neutral so people don't try to fight me on their way out of the Yum Center?
People know Jack Pilgrim, regardless of whether you got Pat's gear on or Kentucky gear
this
on.
This ugly mug goes forever.
They know who you are. So
unfortunately,
I'd wear it proudly. And if you do the rapid reaction outside of the Yum Center, it probably really does need to be rapid. Just make it quick and get it over with. So,
and just talking to them like, go Cats, beat the hell out of them. See you next time. Just roll it like that. So we talked a lot about the Valpo game, what worked compared to the kind of up and down performance against Nichols. That has all led to Kentucky jumping up to number 1 in the KenPom. Kentucky is the number 1 team in college basketball, according to the people that their analytics actually matter. Like, the coaches poll is one thing, the AP poll is one thing. It's for ego, it's for bragging rights, it's to have a number next to your name on TV and on box scores and things like that when you're writing the recap. It doesn't mean anything in the long term. KenPom's numbers actually do mean something because it's what the selection committee uses KenPom numbers when they're doing their seeding and all that stuff. But also there is a direct correlation between KenPom success and NCAA tournament success, where all but 3 seasons, Shawn, dating back to 1998, has the national champion finished in the top 3 of the KenPom rankings. 3 times. Dating back to 1998, has the champion not finished in the top 3 of KenPom. So if you are at the top of those rankings, and there is a kind of general loosey-goosey rule where if you're in the top 20 of both offensive efficiency and defensive efficiency, that you have the best chances at going to the Final Four. It's like, I don't know the exact number, but it's the bulk of the Final Four participants almost always finish in the top 20 in offensive and defensive efficiency, and that's even more so when you're talking about the specific national champion. So you want to be in that group. You want to be in that, earn that criteria, and Kentucky jumps up to number 1 in the country in those areas with the number 11 overall defense and the number 4 overall, 11 overall offense and the number 4 defense for a net rating of plus 29.32 to beat Houston, Illinois. Houston, Illinois, Duke, Florida, Connecticut, Purdue, Gonzaga, Michigan, and Arizona in that order.
Yeah, that's where you want to be. That's where you want to be in late February, March, and hey, you're there now. In early November, obviously the defensive number at number 4. I know I talked, last time we recorded about some ball watching things, and I thought that had significantly improved in game 2. And they'll be tested coming up with some of these matchups and things, playing better offensive teams and things. But you're where you want to be. You see the numbers be what you want them to be when it matters most. And you're right. Like AP poll, all this stuff, coaches poll, it does not matter. But things like this are the reflection of what you are on the basketball floor. So it's an immediate reflection after 2 games of where Kentucky is and where some other teams are in college basketball. But hey, great performance. I don't know what you all talked about in the opening, but they went in, Jack, and took care of business the way that we wanted to see them take care of business. They didn't waste time. Like, it was an immediate run, getting baskets on multiple possessions to start the game, knocking down some early threes, getting out in transition, letting defense start the offense for them, and not looking ahead. So kind of all the things that you would want from an experienced team and a team that is a top 10 team in the country and now number 1 in KenPom, not looking ahead to Tuesday night and taking care of business. And now we can officially look ahead to Tuesday night and go into this thing currently as number 1 in KenPom, which it's a big deal.
I don't know. I'm more concerned about this Louisville game being a trap game for the BBN United Invitational Classic presented by Bob in Jamestown. There's so much on the line here with the Tip-Off Classic presented by Kentucky Tourism that, when you have the opportunity to cut down the nets and bring a championship banner home to Rupp Arena, is Louisville a trap game? Do we need to address the elephant in the room there, Shawn?
No, it's not, especially when you're walking away from your post-game press conference and you make comments like you made.
What was he thinking, dude? Like, seriously. Like, I don't know. I prefer it. I would prefer this over, hey, it's a great opportunity to take on a blue blood, and we're going to give them our best shot. The typical coach speak stuff. I prefer that, but you have to look at the long history of both programs, and as Steven said to open the show, when you haven't 3-15 dating back to the Obama administration, like, at some point you got to embrace your little brother status and not just poke the bear unnecessarily. I don't understand what he was trying to accomplish with that.
It's one of those things, right, that I'm okay with confidence. I'm okay when you go up there and you speak and you confidently think you have a great opportunity to win. You can say those things, but now you've poked the bear, but you also crossed the level of disrespect. And that's where it gets different. And if one of our guys that we cover and talk about were to make that same comment, I think we would probably come on here and say that was stupid, right? That's probably one of the dumbest things you could have done. And I'm sure when he got back, teammates, probably coaches and all were like, okay, now we have to deal with this now, because that's just it's a different beast. Like, you could say, see you Tuesday night.
See you next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday after a win. But then you add some other things to the mix too, and it's just like, okay, what are you doing? But if you're a Kentucky fan, you're a Kentucky guy on that roster, you're Mark Pope, you don't even have to really come in and say anything about it, because they've already heard about it. So this is going to be a good one. Like, this is going to be a lot of fun on Tuesday.
What does this rivalry mean to you specifically? Steven talked a lot about it to start the show, but I know both of our roots go just so deep with this fandom, and have seen some just all-time head-to-head battles in this rivalry. Very fortunately, many of them favoring our team. I would hate to be on the other side of this rivalry in being a part of this fandom for as long as I have. But some of your top memories, some of your top lifelong moments covering this, being a part of this rivalry and fanhood.
Well, you all that listen to this show and watch this show, you all know that my biggest rival growing up was Tennessee, just given the proximity in my location of growing up in southeastern Kentucky. But since I moved to Lexington, I've been able to see the reason why Kentucky-Louisville is what it is. If you go to that part of the state, it's the equivalent to those counties that border Tennessee, and that being the rivalry. But as far as memories go in this one, if you start with anything outside of those NCAA tournament wins and just kind of being able to knock them out of the tournament, out of the Final Four one year, come back the defending national champions and beat them in the Sweet 16 to advance, DeMarcus Cousins moment in the first Cal Patino series of Kentucky-Louisville, Tyler Eulis pouring blood from his eye, coming back the next year and hitting all those shots at Rupp Arena. Like, there's just so many. The list goes on and on and on in this series. But you can have North Carolina and Duke. You get it twice, sometimes 3 times a year. But this one is 365 days. You don't always get it twice in a season. And now we're getting it the earliest we've ever seen it. And this is basically kicking off the college basketball season for these two programs. Like, yeah, Kentucky's 2-0, but this is the official, you don't miss anything for it. You're scheduling everything Tuesday to be home by a certain time so you can get it. And this is where you really start to have bragging rights for the season. And that's what this one is on Tuesday.
And I'd say that's kind of the counter to the hatred of this game getting moved up to this time, because I agree. I don't like how early this game is compared to the way it usually is, kind of a Christmas-y celebration and some mid to late December typically, pre New Year's Eve sometimes. So I hate that, but it is kind of a placeholder for kind of like what the Champions Classic has been for Kentucky over the years. Is like, all right, this is the benchmark. This is the measuring stick. This is kind of what we base our next month of expectations, higher or lower, based on how this game goes. So this is the ultimate test, rather than Champions Classic hasn't been the kindest to Kentucky over the years. And so we've kind of had to lower our optimism after that, but this could kind of replace that before next week, taking on Michigan State in New York City. I think that's going to be a nice little measuring stick that we wouldn't have gotten if this was kind of where it is traditionally put.
All of my Facebook memories the last couple of days have been Champions Classic. I don't know, or when you go back and look, I'm pretty sure it was Kentucky Duke 4 years ago today. And then I had the Michigan State game when Tyrese Maxey hit all that's been popping up. And I'm like, wow, Kentucky's playing Louisville a week before Champions is even played. So it's different. You're getting that first taste of success or even disappointment, like a little bit sooner, but it's usually Champions is that first measuring stick that we get of this team. Now it's not Champions, but it's an elite level matchup and one of the most bitter rivalries in sports. especially in college basketball, and you're getting it. So it is different. I think by the time Wednesday morning gets here, the high that you can get off of this and that immediate whoa, like if Kentucky's able to get this win, can you imagine what it does over the next few days and the next week leading you into champions, where you get an opportunity against a Michigan State team that also got a big win. So a lot to look forward to this week, but this one, starting tomorrow morning when everybody goes to work, it's going to be hard to focus on work for a couple of days, because you're going to be looking ahead to Tuesday at 8 p.m. at the Yum Center. And this is a big one for the early college basketball season, and a big one for still the early stages of what this Kentucky-Louisville rivalry looks like with Mark Pope and things. Like, this is the first one in Louisville, and let's see what Kentucky can do.
It's the first time since Pope and Kelsey fist fought outside of a 5-star recruit's apartment at midnight too. So that'll be fun. We'll see if we can get Pope to put Pat Kelsey in a headlock again like he did last year. That was fun. Quick message from our friends at LG&E and KU. They know that when the lights go out, it can feel like a full court press, but staying in the know is an easy win. Update your phone number in the LG&E and KU mobile app or in my account. If the power goes out, you'll get play-by-play text from 454-358 with outage updates, safety information, and time estimates for power restoration. Can't text? No problem. We'll call the landline on your account with the same update, so you're never left in the dark, because in the dark, there's no defense. But with LG&E and KU, you've always got a team working to get the lights back on and let you know the game plan. Update your number today at lge-ku.com/outages. Real quick before we transition out of Valpo / previewing that and into some recruiting talk, because there's a lot going on right now and a lot of moving parts there. I want to get your take on just kind of some big picture takeaways on that. Is the shooting that you saw against Valpo, 11 for 28, and probably I think they shot better than even that number indicated. I just felt a lot better in general about the looks that they were getting and their efficiency in that regard. Is that sustainable? Do you think that it really was just a quick fix with Jalen Lowe getting back in the lineup and kind of setting the table for everybody else? And anything else that kind of caught your attention in that Valpo game you want to hit on?
Well, when it comes to the shooting, right, we kept talking about the sample size was so small that you don't want to necessarily panic after a couple of exhibitions in a regular season opener. Jalen Lowe is able to make some passes and deliver some balls that other guys just don't have the same ability to do. Like, there was one early in the game where he gets downhill and kicks one out and fires it to the corner. There's another one where he no-look and finds a guy in the corner. Just some of those plays, the court vision that he has at the point guard spot, it allows other guys to kind of settle into their positions where they're more comfortable, Jack. And when we're talking sample size, we're talking small sample size, but let's talk about the sample size that we're getting from Colin Chandler now that goes back to late last year, that it's becoming more of, okay, this guy is a guy that we can have confidence in to take and make threes and be that shooter that if he's got his feet set and he's got a clean look at the rim jacket, needs to let it fly. Jasper knocked down some shots. So it was, to me, you had those two leading the charge there, but you also had a collective effort of other guys taking and making threes. We know Trent Noah's got that capability when he's available. So those things stand out to me the most. But if you start anywhere other than Malachi Moreno, and here's my thing. That's a guy that I game planned for and scouted and prepared for 2 years. And he gave us fits. He gave everybody a lot of trouble, but this is a different version of Malachi Moreno. Like, I love Malachi. I thought he always had long-term potential as being a really, really good player for this program. But this version that I'm seeing of Malachi now is just, it's getting more polished than I've ever seen him, and which probably should be expected making this jump to college basketball. But the way he's sprinting out of every dribble handoff, every ball screen, running to the rim, catching lobs, running the floor, his presence. He made a drop step baseline and a left-handed pass baseline, like a corner drift to Yelovich for a corner three. And I'm like, that might have been the most impressive play of the night by a 7-footer. So I'm just in awe of his development early on and how much more advanced he is than I ever thought he would be as a freshman. That has made Mark Pope's life better, but extremely difficult when Jaden Quaintance comes back at some point. Because I just don't know. You're going to have to play all of them. Like BG,
how do you? I do want to. I genuinely do want to know, because Steve and I talked about that to start the show. I am confused. I genuinely don't know how this is going to work out.
it's a great problem to have. I'll start with that. Like any coach in the country would love to have that problem, because you've got not only depth, but you've got depth that can play. And he's further along than what I thought he would be. And it's not just the level of competition that Kentucky's playing. Yes, he will be tested, but his game has developed significantly in his time from high school till now, and the attention to detail and the skill set. And it's the purpose that he's playing the game with. Like I said, he is sprinting out of every DHO, sprinting out of every ball screen, and it's to the rim, and it's putting immediate pressure with Kentucky having a lob threat. BG is dropping dimes and doing some things. Like he looks,
and he deserves a lot of credit for that. He played with so much more maturity than I think I have personally seen from him ever in a Kentucky uniform.
They both look comfortable, and that's the thing. Like when Jaden Quains becomes available, I keep saying when he comes back, but when he makes that first appearance, it's going to take Kentucky's front court to another level, because it's got that top 5 pick, top 10 pick potential added to it. But what it's got right now is I think it has a front court that is good enough to beat anybody in college basketball, especially when you pair it with what Kentucky's doing in the backcourt. You've got Yelovich showing his skill set and versatility, doing some things at a forward spot. They've got so many options that the toughest thing to navigate is going to be what decides this. And that's where I keep going back to the data. At some point, there's going to be enough data that collects what combinations fit, who maybe – do you get into this thing where conditioning becomes a factor of it? Somebody's able to go 26, 27, and somebody else is better suited to play 17. There's so many factors that can go into this, but I'll keep coming back to this. It's a great problem to have. And I don't think you're ever going to hear anybody complain about having that problem, because at some point it will be, what are we doing here? How do we establish chemistry and continuity when it comes to long-term play and conference play, NCAA tournament? But also, if somebody has a bad night or foul trouble hits, you've got really, really quality pieces at the 5 that can do a lot of different things for you.
Yeah, it might just be, you guys are all so good, we got to play you 15 minutes apiece and stagger to make the math work. Some of you guys playing the 4 and the 5 together, like just to kind of keep the rotation moving. And I think that's the value that Pope talked about last night or after the game, that, if that's how it comes, you better be huffing it 150%, not showing any sign of fatigue, because you are only playing 15 minutes. Like if it starts becoming a minute thing, then you have to up your intensity while you're out on the floor and make sure the conditioning is there to match that. And I think it's possible. I think it is possible. I would rather see longer runs and Pope just kind of picking of the group. But if he feels that he has to do that, then I totally understand his decision there.
Well, the beauty of this is what you were talking about there, about guys giving maximum effort. Honestly, when you've got this many guys, you can't be selfish, not just with your minutes, but with your effort, because you can't play tired. When you have this many bodies that can go and run at you, there's no reason to play tired. So if you go in for a 3-4 minute segment and you just empty the tank and you're rim running and you're defending, you're blocking shots, you're in great help defensively, you're doing all these things, that's where, when it comes, maybe there's not somebody at the table for you, but you tap your head and say, get me. Mm-hmm. And that's being unselfish, because it's saying, I've emptied the tank. I've got a guy over here that can go in and play his role and do the exact same thing, maybe add something else, but giving maximum effort. Kentucky's going to have the ability to do that at multiple spots this year, and that's where you can't be selfish with your what you have left in the tank, right? Mm-hmm. Don't play through fatigue. You don't have to. That's what I'm seeing the potential being for Kentucky's front court. You don't have to play tired, which is going to, in turn, keep Kentucky at a better clip defensively, because they've got fresh bodies on the interior that can affect in the game in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's transition to some recruiting talk, because that's obviously something that fans are dying to know. But real quickly, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code ON3 and you will get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using bonus code ON3. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game. You will receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets. If your bet loses, just make sure you use bonus code ON3 when you sign up. Make this college basketball season one for the history books. Make it legendary. Disclaimer, see betmgm.com for terms. 21 and older. U.S. promotional offers not available in New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, 1-800-327-5050, 1-800-BETS-OFF, 1-800-981-0023. First bet offer for new customers only, subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days, in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. So a lot of fun stuff there. What do you think the opening spread is going to be for this this Louisville matchup? Do we think we're going to get any?
What's KenPom have it as currently?
Let me check.
It was
KenPom has it at a 1-point win for Louisville, a 49% chance for Kentucky to win.
Man, is this like a 1.5 line in favor of Louisville at home? Maybe.
Yeah, probably.
It's going to be low. It's going to be very low.
What do you think the point total is going to look like?
I mean, both of these teams, one over
two top 15, two top 15 offenses in college basketball. It's going to be high.
Over under 147, 148, somewhere.
Gotta be higher.
You think so?
I bet it'll be in the 150s. I bet it'll be like 152.5 or something.
I mean, Louisville is number 3 in offense.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what it is. You could basically put this thing as a pick starting out with a line, though. It's going to be close.
It'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun, a lot to talk about, and I can't wait to get into all that. But until then, Kentucky might be landing a top 5-star recruit. That's pretty fun, right? You know, we've been talking about Mark Pope, Nina Lena's big fish, and who that's going to be and what that looks like. And it's not the guy that we all have been talking about and expecting it to be. A lot of, and we had Jacob Polachek on last week to talk about it a little bit, but a lot of movement with one Tyron Stokes and where he's playing high school ball, where he's going to high school, if he's going to high school, all of it. Just a chaotic mess with his situation. So as that chaotic mess has picked up, we have reached a point where Kentucky, my understanding, and all of this stuff was put on KS Board, KSR Plus, so make sure you go subscribe there and get all of this first if you have not heard it yet. But I think when you're at the closing table with a kid like Christian Collins, a top 5 recruit, down to Kentucky, USC, UCLA, my understanding was favored the basketball fit at Kentucky first and foremost, thought that playing for Mark Pope was going to be a better fit than the other coaches. However, there was a big draw to stay home. He's a Southern California kid, Playa del Rey, California at St. John Bosco, wanting to stay close to home and would be open to a move away from home, but didn't prefer it. And if you were going to do that, probably would need to, sweeten the pot to make the distance, make the distance worthwhile for him, if for lack of better phrasing. So I think he's always liked Mark Pope. I saw him out in Colorado Springs at that USA training camp I was talking about earlier with Malachi. He was there, and Mark Pope really just kind of took him under his wing and and there was just a clear chemistry between the two. And, Pope really working with him individually and giving him advice. And you could just tell there was a connection. I asked Christian about it afterward, and he was like, yeah, he's a hands-on coach, and he's like a mentor for me while I'm at this event. And, he's always been like that with me in this recruitment. So I think he just really, really has he's super fond of Mark Pope and would like to play for him. But it was just about it. But can I make the move all the way across the country to Lexington? I think was the only kind of hold up. And there was a time where that was not seen as the favorable thing. I think there was a time that it was down to the 3. They got to the deciding table and kind of said, hey, we're probably leaning towards staying home. And then kind of all the Tyron stuff unfolded, and it's my understanding, talking to folks around the program, that it's not a one or the other. It's not a, hey, we're pivoting away from Stokes to close on Christian Collins. I think it was, hey, there's so much kind of up in the air that involves Tyron that we'd rather let the dust settle with that and make sure that we're not left empty-handed and get a guy that we are super in love with. Think the world of him. I think Kentucky loves him to death, thinks that he's a future lottery pick, and they want both. Like, if in their ideal world, they want Christian Collins and Tyron Stokes to play for Kentucky and play together at Kentucky, and stressing that, hey, like, we play big wings. That's what we do. I mean, we played Kobe Brea and Jackson Robinson together last year. Why would it be any different for a 6'7" Tyron Stokes playing with a 6'8" Christian Collins? Like, there's no difference. We can make it work. Our system works in that way. Just let it work itself out. So I think it's one of those deals where the opportunity presented itself. They saw the door cracked, left open for them to take advantage of it, and we are not a Progressive sponsor. So unless Progressive wants to sponsor, we do not support Progressive over here.
It's like parallel parking, though.
But yeah, I think there was just hey, we have a chance to close on a kid that we really like. Why are we messing around? Why are we not going to take advantage of this? So I do think that Kentucky has emerged as the team to beat, and I would be shocked if it's not Kentucky at this stage. And I think that we're trending toward a commitment sooner rather than later. And I think Mark Pope can land his first top 5 recruit in high school basketball. I think that's a really, really cool thing, Shawn.
Yeah, it would be a big one. It would be a very big one. And one of the guys that, like you said, for a while, it looked like staying out west would be the thing. And then here you come down to signing week. And this is where every year there's something that kind of emerges right here leading into this part of the calendar that you start paying attention to. And then this would be a big one for Kentucky, a guy that just has a ton of upside to his game. Like the long-term potential and upside is what you're most excited about. And I know we don't know what this thing's going to look like a year from now, but I would expect Kentucky to have a roster with a good blend of returning talent, incoming talent. We know they'll be active in the portal. I would expect it to be a stacked roster to where whatever freshmen do sign, Jack, going to be able to have a chance to have an immediate impact, but also not wearing the weight of the world and all the pressure to be successful on their shoulders immediately because of the other ways that Kentucky will build this roster for next season. But this would be a great start to this class.
Yeah, and this Outlaw Adkins says Tipton said UK could get both Stokes and Collins. I said that on KS Sport as well, so make sure you subscribe there. But I agree with Tipton's line of thinking here. I do not think that because Kentucky is very likely to land Christian Collins, that isn't any indication that that they are moving on from Tyron Stokes. I've pretty definitively heard on Kentucky's side that it's we can strike while the iron is hot with a kid that we really like. It doesn't mean that we're going to pass on the number 1 kid in the country because he got in a couple fights at school. I think it's one of those deals where now that Tyron doesn't have a high school home and he is considering like, hey, where do I go from here? Do I enroll in prep school? There's some talk that like, why not go, play overseas for a couple of months before, playing college ball, or then just going straight to the draft, or they're just kind of different paths and avenues to say like, hey, we now have to reopen just our situation and circumstances because I'm no longer in high school. So I think as that lack of clarity presents itself, I think it now kind of forces Kentucky to kind of make its own decision and not be left with, Christian committing to either UCLA or USC, and then Tyron kind of being up in the air and needing to, deciding to go play overseas or deciding to enroll early in college and it not being Kentucky, or, just too many unknown variables at that stage that they were closer before all of this on landing Tyron and securing that commitment, mid October. Now that kind of period is behind us, make a move, get one in hand, and then worry about the guys in the bush. So we'll see what happens with Tyron, but I do feel very good about Christian Collins and then them continuing to pursue Tyron from there. So anything else that we want to get off our chest before we wrap this thing up and transition officially into Louisville Hate Week? The game is now 72 hours away?
It's here. I guess
48. Yeah.
Are we making predictions for this thing today, or are we?
Sure, let's do it.
You going first?
Nope, you are.
Okay, I'll go. I believe Kentucky and Mark Pope are going to be dialed in on a true road game. Quad 1 win. I'm starting the Quad 1 talk early. Kentucky gets this one by 6 in the Yum Center. I'll go 79-73.
Ooh, all right, 79-73. I'm going Kentucky wins 83-79. And my game MVP is Mo Diabate. Mo Diabate is going to he's built for stuff like this. He's built for games like this. He has the intensity of Brandon Garrison without, the erratic behavior and kind of some of the chaos that could lead to techs and some. I think Brandon's going to make an impact in this one, but I think in terms of consistent production and game, winning plays, I do think that Mo is going to be the difference there, and he's going to be Did you give an MVP?
I didn't. I'm going to go Otega Oweh. I know that's probably an easy pick, but I know what I get from Otega Oweh, and I think that early in the season you can lean on that. And I believe that this is a guy that's going to show up in that environment Tuesday night and play very, very well.
Well, let's hope that we're correct and we're not eating crow here on our Wednesday edition of the show for our post-game reaction. So we'll see you at the Yum Center. I'm very, very excited. I'll be there, hopefully not taking punches and getting beers thrown on me and all that nonsense, but I don't, discount the possibility because of that fan base. But hopefully we can have a good spirited, fun rivalry matchup, and Kentucky leaves the Yum Center with yet another victory as they move to 3-0 on the season, and then turn our real attention toward the BB and Tip-Off Classic presented by Kentucky Tourism, because that's where our eyes really that's the eye on the prize. So for Jack Pilgrim, for Stephen Peake to start the show, and then Shawn Smith, we appreciate you guys joining us on this Sunday edition of the show. Make sure you go subscribe to KSR Plus. Make sure you're subscribed right here on the KSR YouTube channel. Make sure you have liked this. If you have not liked it, we really appreciate those. It helps and keeps Stephen the lights on, the KU and LG&E lights on for Stephen Peake. So for all of us, we appreciate you. We will see you on Wednesday. Go Cats.